Hi there! This month, couple unexpected has happened in the garden. Instead of the usual purple of hummingbird mints, blue boa, this year it's the yellow that are stealing the spotlight. Rudbeckia goldstrum and Heliopsis bleeding heart are absolutely glowing, and I didn't see it coming. This shift got me think, how much do small changes in planting affect the entire mood of the garden, and what happens if your reliable bloomers surprise you with a new rhythm? And speaking of surprises, this month has been full of them, from unexpected bulbs that are blooming to plants showing completely new side of their personality. Some have become reliable stars while others, well, they have proven a bit too high maintenance for mid-wet storms. In this video, I will share the plants that are stealing the spotlight right now, the ones I'm debating replacing, and the new experiments I have added this year, from roses to honeysuckle to mums with shifting colors. Along the way, I will also show you a few lessons I have learned about using foliage, not just the flowers, to keep the garden vibrant through these tricky late summer weeks. So if you're curious about what's blooming, what's flopping, and what's truly surprising me in the garden this August, stick around. I think you will enjoy how the season has unfolded. We're back and it's already second week of August. I was pleasantly surprised to see bursts of yellow in my front garden this year. Rudbeckia goldstrum and Heliopsis bleeding heart are putting on quite a show. Normally by this time, I expect to see more purple from the hummingbird mint blue boa, but this season the yellow have really taken the spotlight. Here's how the garden looked last year, full of purple from the hummingbird mint blue boa. I think the shift this season might be due to the few things I made. I planted 2 new hellebore, moved the fire ship arborvitae to the backyard, and replaced it with the boxwood. While I still see some blue boa popping up, they seem to be self-seeded. I'm planning to relocate those seedlings to better integrate them into the design. At least the blue boa in my triangular bed continue to put on the show. I really love its long-lasting bloom with a large terminal spike that stands strong, even with rain, wind, or snow. Heuchera autumn blight also started blooming. This plant is a reliable late-season performer and will continue to flower right up until the first frost. My standard panicle hydrangea tree is blooming again. It came with the house, and while the flowers are beautiful, they're just too heavy for the stem even with the hard pruning in late winter. They flop easily in Midwest wind gusts and storms, making it a high-maintenance plant. So I have decided that any hydrangea I add in the future must bloom on new wood, and they have a strong stem that can withstand our weather. So now I'm thinking about replacing the hydrangea with a narrow tree. Do you have any favorites or suggestions? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what's working in your garden. I have noticed since last year that my backyard feels a bit scarce in the summer bloom. Right now, the only thing flowering is Agastaceae rupestris. Without a mix of the foliage textures and color, especially those cool blue-green tones, the space can look pretty dull. It's a reminder of how important foliage is, not just flowers, in keeping a garden visually interesting throughout the season. One of the stars in this garden this month is Euphorbia marginata. I love how its upper leaves gradually turn striped or even solid white as summer progresses. It really makes this area pop with brightness and contrast. Although it's listed as annual, it's hardy from Zone 2 to 11 and native to Minnesota and Dakotas. In my neighbor's garden, it has been self-seeds reliably and have come back every year. Mountain mint showed its silvery bracts earlier in the season than Euphorbia marginata, and while it's beautiful, it's also a vigorous grower that's spread by rhizome. I find myself pulling it out every year, and honestly, it's become quite high maintenance for me. I want to show you a comparison of how these two plants look in the garden. Here you can see the mountain mint. It definitely helps brighten this area with its silvery bracts. But when we look at Euphorbia marginata, the contrast it creates is even more striking. Its crisp white foliage really stands out and adds a bold visual layer to the garden, even from afar. One of the bulbs I planted a few years ago have popped up again. Just like the name, the surprise lily brings a little unexpected joy to the garden this time of the year. It shows up right when I don't have much summer bloom, and every year it catches me off guard in the best way. Another background plant that's flowering is Calamintha nepeta subspecies nepeta. It's blooming at the same time as allium windy city, and together they create a beautiful duo that adds texture and subtle color to the foreground. Coco Loco Rose continued to bloom beautifully since last month. As we enter the third week of August, I'm surprised to see Heliopsis sunstruck still blooming. It's been growing strong since May. Interestingly, its creamy foliage, which was so striking earlier in the season, has now turned green. It's a subtle shift but really changed how the plant reads in the garden. Rudbeckia Sahara has been blooming continuously since mid-July and is still growing strong. Firefly Peach Yarrow is giving me a second flush of bloom after I deadhead the first round. And look, I've got a second or actually a third batch of monarch caterpillars. Unfortunately, my daylilies dry out due to the lack of water while I was on vacation, so those batches didn't make it to the butterfly stage. I'm planning to replant my daylily this fall to support future generation. Curious about why I chose daylilies and how they fit into my pollinator garden? I've created a video about it. Link in the descriptions. Look at this soft pink lavender mist. It perfectly matches the name Thalictrum lavender mist. This plant has been blooming steadily and standing strong since mid-July, adding a delicate airy texture to the garden. Close by, there's a soft white cloud of euphorbia marginata that really brightens up the back of the garden. Its crisp foliage adds a clean contrast and helps to lift the whole area visually. First Lady Mum has continued blooming since last month. This year it's noticeably taller and producing more flowers than it did last year. It's more of cool type mum, so while the blooms are beautiful, the delicate petals tend to get crushed and causing this brown petal easily. I decided to cut out the flower with brown petals to give some space for other blooms to shine. It's a small cleanup, but it's really helped refresh the garden and encourage the new growth. Homecoming mums are another variety that has been blooming since July. Every year they start off with a bright yellow bloom, but later in the season they sometimes show the flower I have been waiting for, a soft peach color with a creamy yellow undersides. Has this happened to you too? This month, a new perennial mum I planted, Fall Charms, had started to bloom. The flower isn't quite what I expected when I bought it, but since it's only the first year, I'm hopeful. Sometimes plants really show their true character in the second or third season. We'll see how it evolves. Since last year, I have noticed that my summer garden tends to lack flowers. Without a mix of foliage textures and colors, it can look quite dull. That's why I'm especially glad to see Liatris aspera starting to bloom as we enter the last week of August. Its upright form and vibrant spike bring a much-needed accent to the garden, adding to both structure and late-season interest. This year I added new plant to my garden, Alstroemeria Coral Chaos. It's a relatively new variety developed by Cornell University, and it was rated for cold hardy to zone 5, which makes it a great candidate for my climate. I have grown Golden Tiara before, and it came back reliably for 2 years, but last winter with rough little snow and not enough mulch, so it didn't survive this year. This fall I will be sure to mulch well to give Coral Chaos the best chance to return next spring. Let's see how it does. This year I planted Kinsley Ghost honeysuckle. I really love its new growth. There's a red tint on top and beautiful blue tone underneath. It adds such a unique texture to the garden. This year lavender has been giving me a soft lavender cloud for a month now. Not only do the blooms last long, but I also love its petal-shaped foliage. It adds interest even when it's not flowering. One of my favorite perennials, Physostigia virginiana variegata, starts blooming at the end of August. I love its pink lavender flower and crisp creamy white variegated foliage. In fall, the whole plants turn the rich burgundy purple, make these plants to be three-season interest. The downside is its leggy habit. It tends to have about a foot clearance from the ground, so it's probably better to staking or pairing it with a low-growing perennials to fill the base. For some reason, I don't have many new flowers blooming in the first few weeks of August. Thankfully, a few long-blooming perennials are still going strong, and I have arranged them with the varied foliage textures and colors to keep the garden from looking dull. I'm looking for the perennials that bloom during this gap and also have a long vast life. Hydrangeas are on my radars, especially newer compact varieties with the strong stems that bloom on new wood. That's important here, where spring frost can be unpredictable. If you have any suggestions, whether it's favorite hydrangea or another long-blooming perennial, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear what's worked for you. And that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow and encourages me to keep creating content. Until next time, bye!